hear this thing burning. You can hear this thing burning.
Investigators are trying to figure out what caused a massive fire at the home of a judge in South Carolina. 3 people inside were injured and had to be rescued, escaping on kayaks. ABC's Rena Roy with the story.
An urgent investigation underway after this fire broke out Saturday at the home of South Carolina Circuit Judge Diane Goodstein. You can see thick black smoke and massive flames rising from the home in a remote area of Edisto Island, just south of Charleston.
Be advised that Edisto Beach has a structure fire with entrapment.
Officials say 3 people were injured jumping out of an elevated window to escape the flames and rescued from the swampy backyard by kayak. 1 victim rushed to the hospital by helicopter. Officials say Goodstein was not at home at the time, but her husband was. The home destroyed. Goodstein has been a state judge for 27 years, handling thousands of cases. Investigators are working to determine if this fire is related to any of her cases. The judicial branch in South Carolina saying they're working closely with law enforcement and monitoring the case.
We understand that the judge's cars may have been parked beneath the house and caught fire, and that may have been the reason why the entire house just went up in that inferno you see in front of you.
Rena Roy, ABC News, New York. Now, as this investigation continues, local law enforcement is providing extra patrols and security for local judges.
What's up out there, YouTube? This is James coming back at you with another informative video. I hope you guys are doing well out there on this beautiful Tuesday. I'm doing pretty good myself. Come across this situation right here involving Judge Goodstein, Diane Goodstein, that is, with her home burning to the ground. Okay, and they do suspect some sort of foul play. You know, some people, you know, it has been reported that actually they heard a bomb go off before this horrific flames just engulfed this $1.5 million home that belonged to Judge Goodstein and her husband. Okay, now what that particular news clip didn't say is that this happened after Judge Goodstein ruled against Donald Trump. All right, it happened, and we are going to get into the story. The thing is this, before we do, I just want to say this. Why did the newscaster say that security, law enforcement has provided security for local judges? Could it be because these local judges rule against Donald Trump and they figure he's involved some kind of way? Seems like they're suspecting your boy Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, you know, as getting off into some serious gangster stuff. You understand? But without further ado, let's get into this article so we can dissect what that news article didn't say. It comes out of the Independent, and it reads, South Carolina judge, $1.5 million home destroyed in huge fire with family forced to jump out of window. Circuit Court Justice Diane Goodstein, who ruled against Trump administration last month, was out walking when mansion erupted into flame. All right, see, they saying, you know, she ruled against Donald Trump, and they're figuring this is the result of what happened. Okay, now it says here a beachfront property belonging to a South Carolina judge has burned to the ground in a huge fire that sent 3 members of her family to the hospital, including her former state senator husband. Circuit Court Judge Diane Goodstein, 69, was out walking her dogs when the blaze erupted at the luxury Jeremy K gated community at approximately 11:30 a.m. Saturday morning at Edisto Beach. Her husband, Arnold Goodstein, 81, and other members of her family, other members of the family had to escape via its upper stories as the fire took hold. They were subsequently rescued from the boggy marshland in which they had sought refuge by emergency service, personnel in kayaks. Okay, so they really went through it Saturday morning. You know what I mean? And wow, who would have thought? Okay, it goes on to say here though, South Carolina Chief Justice John Kittredge subsequently told Fitz News that the fire began with an apparent explosion. Okay, look at this mystery right here, getting deep. All right, Judge Goodstein was walking on the beach when the fire started. He said her husband Arnie was in the house with children and perhaps grandchildren. The family had to escape by jumping from a window or a balcony. I'm told there were injuries from the fall, such as broken legs. Okay, whew. Man, they really had it that morning. I tell you, golly, Arnie's injuries may have been the most serious, for he was airlifted to the hospital. Arnold Goodstein, a Democrat, served in the South Carolina House of Representatives from 1971 to 1973, and the state Senate in 1969 and 1970, and then again 1975 and 1979. The couple's son, Arnold Goodstein III, and a third person were also taken to the emergency room for treatment. The Goodstein's 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom property was reportedly valued at $1.55 million. Okay, and it's going up in smoke, people. It's out of here. Ooh, look at that big face right there. Gee, yeah, it's going up in in smoke, just like nothing. But what caused it? But see, like I said, they're reporting that there was a loud explosion before this actually took place. Okay. Now, to continue, a spokesperson for the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division said the department is currently investigating the cause of the fire and had yet to determine whether it was an accident or the result of arson. Oh, wow. Last month, Judge Goodstein oversaw a controversial case weighing whether or not her state should hand over sensitive voter registration documents to the federal government, and ultimately ruled against Donald Trump's administration. The Department of Justice had requested that South Carolina officials turn over the personal data of more than 3.3 million voters, revealing their names, addresses, birth dates, driver's license numbers, and the last 4 digits of their social security numbers. Okay, well then I don't blame her for denying them that. They don't need all that. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it is what it is. Look at this, burnt to a crisp. Look at this, that nice mansion. And if you remember, in the video, it said that their cars was parked beneath the mansion. Okay, and this is a car that's just all burnt out. Okay, it's just a shell of the place left. Good thing no lives were actually lost, though. That's the thing about it. Now, in conclusion, right here, the administration was seeking to compare the information with a separate database in order to root out alleged illegal immigrants it suspected were being unlawfully permitted to cast votes in state elections. Judge Goodstein had reportedly received multiple death threats in response to her September 2nd ruling, which placed her at odds with Trump and South Carolina's Republican Governor Henry McMaster, who said the circuit court was wrong to place itself in the way of the U.S. government and file an emergency petition to overturn the verdict. The South Carolina Supreme Court duly sided with McMaster, dropping Goodstein's temporary restraining order and a 6-page opinion on September 11th that argued that the judge had not made clear what damage she believed the original plaintiff, local voting rights activist Ann Crook, might suffer if the data were released. Okay? Wow. Look, let me tell you something. This does not look good. This looked like some straight up gangster shit. Okay, really. the fact that this judge's life was threatened, there were death threats and what have you, and then after, you know, the death threats, house blew up. Okay. After the death threats, the house blew up. What's up, Trump? What's going on, man? You notice how I composed this thumbnail right here. Trump is behind this particular situation right here. That's how I composed it. Okay, peeping around. Nobody's actually saying that, you know, Trump is actually, you know, the usual suspect or the main culprit of this particular situation that took place after Judge Goodstein's house, you know, being, you know, blowed up. Okay, nobody's saying that. Okay, but it does look awfully fishy. But what I will say is this. Hang on a second. Let me just get this out here right quick. Now, what I will say is this. YouTube, make sure y'all pay that man his $24.5 million so we don't get some kind of mysterious situation that happens to YouTube. Okay? Y'all into Trump for $24.5 million. Make sure y'all pay. Because your boy, you know, could be making his presence known about some certain things, you know, that you just don't know in this day and age. And J.B. Pritzker, you know, said he wasn't going to back down, you know, to Trump. And what he want to do is actually use, you know, Chicago for, you know, the military or National Guard to, you know, practice on certain citizens there, which is not cool. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, this is what he said. J.B. Pritzker said, I will not back down. So I'm going to keep my eyes on you and see if any mysterious criminal activity happens with you. I'm just going to see. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just going to keep my eye out, you know, just to say the least. Well, people, that's all I got on this particular situation right here. I want you guys to tell me what you think about it. Do y'all think Trump has something to do with this or not? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. People, please remember to live your life as though we are being watched. Simply because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.